Hey everyone, welcome to a brand new video. Thank you so much for being here with me today. Today we are going shopping for plants at Ikea. So we are going to be taking a look at both the collection of faux plants as well as the real life house plants that Ikea offers. So starting off, we're going to look at some of the faux plants. If you know me, you know I am not a fan of most faux fake plants, so I'm gonna kind of show and tell these and basically point out which ones pass the test for me and which ones fail. So starting off, we've got a bunch of the large sized faux house plants. This one right here, I guess, is supposed to be a magnolia. This did not pass the test for me. Most of these cost between like $60 and $80 for the larger size ones. The magnolia was okay. It wasn't the worst, and it definitely wasn't the best. Then next to that, we have the bamboo, which does not pass the test for me. I thought that this looked really chintzy and cheap, more so than the magnolia, so I would not suggest this one. And then we have a couple of smaller monsteras here. These ones were okay. I thought $70 for these, not being nearly as big as the other ones, were a little bit overpriced. Again, I would say these are somewhere in the middle. They're not terrible, but they're not great. The fiddle leaf fig was not bad. That one could potentially pass the test. For some of the larger size plants, I would approve this over the magnolia. Although I will say these palms right here were my favorite. These do have like a lifelike quality to them. This is supposed to be a Areca palm, and this was $21.99. So that one was a win for me. And then there were these tall grassy things here. Did not pass the test for me. I did not like the way these looked. We had some faux lavender, I think this was supposed to be. These were okay. Again, somewhere in the middle. These little baby tulips were cute, but definitely look super fake. Don't pass the test for me. And then we had a eucalyptus. This also looked too fake to me. And then we had these miniature Japanese maples, which I thought were pretty solid, and they were on clearance for $6.49. I actually ended up taking 2 of these home with me. And then here we've got this topiary here, which is supposed to be a weeping fig. I actually have quite a few of these in my house and I really like them. Although I will say I think the quality of them has gone down, and $18 does seem a little steep. Next, we've got these orchids, which are probably my favorite faux plant that Ikea has to offer. I own 2 of these and I think they look very lifelike. People have been duped into thinking they were real orchids in my house, so they passed the test for me. Here are more of these fake little grass things, not my jam. Another smaller monstera. This was okay. I wasn't sure what these were supposed to be. It looks like they are a Clusia? Clusia would be my guess. These were $9.99. I am not familiar enough with this plant to know how realistic this looks, but they did look kind of fakey. They have these little hyacinth planters and lots of different pots that are made of like these natural materials. Then we had this like bundle of a few different things. This wasn't bad looking. These were $6.99. This one right here did pass the test. This looked realistic enough to me. This is called a mosaic plant, and this one was $10. And then we had these little like mossy succulent bowls. These were $9.99. I thought these looked pretty good. These would look really nice on like a tablescape. Definitely not bad. We had some faux ferns and then this English ivy, which was a hard pass for me. These geraniums were not bad, I will say. Like, they're not the best, but they're not bad. And these come in at $6.99. Then we had the faux bulbs here of the paper whites or narcissus. I didn't think these were too great, but they weren't the worst either. Then we had these tiny little plant sets here. Those weren't too bad looking. I think those could be okay in certain applications. And then here we have the sets of like the ones with the faux flowers. Anything with these like fabricy flowers to me usually look bad, so these were not my cup of tea. The faux succulents weren't bad looking. These little mini rose bushes, they do have the like fabric flowers, but I thought they looked pretty realistic. These passed my test. These get the seal of approval from me. And then we have a bunch of these little smaller plants. I actually own quite a few of these. These all come in at $4. I'm pretty sure one is supposed to be thyme, one is supposed to be rosemary, and one is supposed to be oregano. This one right here was new to me. I have not seen it before. I'm not entirely sure what this one was supposed to be. The grass was too plasticky looking for me. The ferns were okay. This one wasn't bad. This was supposed to be a house bamboo. Not familiar with that, but it didn't look too bad to me. And then here are some more of the like wicker looking baskets. I really like these, and it's nice that they have a plastic liner in them for any moisture. These ones come in at $30. And here's a few more of the larger faux trees. This is a ficus, and then we also had a rubber plant. The ficus wasn't bad, I will say. The rubber tree, not so much, especially considering rubber trees are supposed to be like super low maintenance. I'd say this isn't even worth your time. Now, my favorite of all the large faux houseplants was definitely this palm here. It just looked the most realistic to me. This was supposed to be a Kentia palm, and this comes in at $80, which still seems pretty steep to me. But like I said, this is my favorite of all of the large faux plants. It looks the best to me. And then here's just a closer look at some of those other smaller ones displayed. I've seen this plant stand around for many years. However, I will say $80 seems a little steep, but you know, inflation these days. And then we have these large monstera leaves. I'm pretty sure I own a couple of these. They're okay. And for $5.99, I think that's a pretty good deal. They also had these faux cherry blossom branches at $14.99. These do look fake, but I do enjoy the pop of color. I think in the right application, they can look okay. And now we are going to move on to the real live houseplants. So starting off here, I saw these large birds of paradise. These were coming in on sale for $28. Most of them looked pretty good, and they are quite large. I found one with a very fresh, glossy looking leaf. That was really nice. Then we had some large philodendrons at $23, which I thought was a good deal. I know philodendrons can be pretty pricey, as well as some large snake plants for $20. Since these are all in pretty big containers, I think these are a pretty good deal. And then I spotted these little bonsai trees, which I really wanted to take one home with me, but I didn't. So these are ficus bonsai, I believe, and they come in at $40, which I think is completely reasonable considering bonsai trees can be super expensive, and you get the container bowl with it. So to me, this is worth it. Next to the little bonsai trees, I saw some spring tulips. I did go here in like late winter, early spring, so it was really nice to see these spring blooms. These were $12.99 and they all looked pretty good. Then we had these Dracaena plants. These were pretty large and they are only $13. I think that's definitely a good bang for your buck, although I'll say aesthetically, these are not my favorite. And then we had some hanging golden pothos plants for $22. I thought that was a pretty fair deal. These all looked really nice and the hanging basket comes with it. It's a good size. Then I spotted some fiddle leaf figs as well. These were all very healthy looking, nice glossy leaves, and these came in at $25, which I also think is a fair price considering these can definitely get pretty expensive. And then we had another Dracaena, which is a corn plant, it looks like. These are not my cup of tea, but I thought the variegation on the leaves were kind of pretty. Otherwise, they're kind of ratty looking. I don't know, not my jam. But at 30 bucks, I think the price is right. Then we have these large, I thought these were called money trees. Correct me if I'm wrong. I always thought these were money trees, but maybe they're not. Then we had these other fiddly figs with the variegated leaves. And then they had some parlor palms for $13. I definitely thought this was a good deal. I've definitely paid more money for a smaller size parlor palm, so that one is a good deal in my book. And then for $13, we had some more golden pothos plants, and there was also a selection of a few orchids for $20, which is, I would say, middle of the road for orchids, and they all looked fairly healthy. This wasn't labeled, but I think this is a jade plant. I'm not entirely sure. Or this is calling it a money tree. I did not think this was a money tree. I could be completely wrong. These were $13, which seemed fair to me. Then we had what I think are African violets in a couple different colors. Those were all looking pretty good. And then they had a few different really tiny potted plants, all at fairly good low prices. These dragon tree Dracaenas were only $2.99 a piece, which I think is a great bang for your buck. And then we had an alocasia at $20, which seems steep for the container. I know alocasia plants can be pretty pricey. Here we had some other mixed plants for $3.99 in these smaller containers. I think these are great options if you want to dabble in houseplants but aren't ready to make a big investment. So definitely check out Ikea if you want starter houseplants. Here are some smaller snake plants, some different succulents. We had some peace lilies here for $12.99, which I thought was a fair deal for the size of them, big and healthy. And then I spotted these gorgeous daffodils, all bright and yellow. These were also looking nice and healthy. Those were $13. Then we had these tiny little bamboo guys that were in like the little water containers for $2.99. I kind of wish I grabbed one of those actually. We had anthurium for $14.99, which seems like a fair deal. I know these can be pretty pricey as well. They all look nice and healthy. $5 calico plants, which is definitely a bang for your buck. Some really nice bromeliads. So what I was calling a money tree, I guess, is a guinea chestnut. Those big ones were $40, which seems pretty fair. I love the braided stems on these, but I've killed one of these, so I can't really talk about how easy or not easy they are to care for. And then my personal favorite is this $40 large palm. I think it's a Majesty palm. That seems like a really good bang for your buck for the size of this plant, and it's absolutely gorgeous. These look good in so many different applications. And now we're gonna go ahead and look at some containers and vessels and pots. They have quite a good selection. I would say most of these are going to err on the more like modern, minimalist, or like bohemian style rather than like the classic traditional, which is usually my preference. But they definitely had some really nice, unique pieces. I smelled these hyacinths from like multiple aisles over, and I was so happy to see them. I absolutely love hyacinths. These smelled so good. These were also $13 and looked nice and healthy. Then they also have a nice selection of different plant stands. Again, I think the prices of these have drastically increased over the last few years, but there's still some really good budget options here. I thought this little wheelie cart deal here was kind of cute. I, of course, really like the wicker basket. I had never seen these like wooden crates before. I thought these would look really nice with a plant display, and they do have the plastic lining in the bottom to make sure your plants aren't gonna leak all over the floor. And they, of course, have these gorgeous little terrarium boxes, and I think these prices are amazing. The smaller one is $23 while the larger one is $30, and I think that is a great deal. I do not own either one of these, but I wouldn't mind picking one of those up in the future. And then they have just like a nice selection of lots of basic, simple pots and containers. I also spotted these hanging containers here too. I think those are a nice option for $12 if you're not into the macrame hanging basket look. I also really liked the ladder. I think that's really cute. They had a few of these simple large containers, $30, one in black, one in white. I think these could fit both like traditional and modern aesthetics. Like I said, they have just like a nice variety of terracotta, metal, acrylic, and just a variety of different materials you could choose from. And of course, I have to touch every single one and see what it feels like. Like I said, the wicker baskets and like rattan containers are my favorite. I love the way these look. I will say I have purchased a few of these, and even if they do have like the clear liner in the bottom, I've had issues with them getting moldy and turning black just from like exposure to moisture. So that's something just to note. So some of the smaller hyacinth woven containers I got here, I only use for faux plants because of them turning moldy. I really loved this watering can here. I thought this was super pretty, and also really loved this $15 propagation tray with like a brass little holder in the bottom. I thought this was so beautiful. This would look so nice in a windowsill. And then this little cactus watering can was super cute as well. I hope this video was helpful if you're looking for some inspiration for your houseplants, maybe planning an Ikea shopping trip. Thank you so much for watching. Please give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and I will see you guys very soon in my next video. Bye!